All right, let's get straight into it. You've got an ecology exam coming up, and you need to be ready. Well, you're in the right place. In the next few minutes, we are going to blitz through the absolute must-know essentials that will help you walk into that exam feeling confident and walk out with the grade you want.
So, what's the plan? Simple. We're going to focus on the core ideas, the key skills, and the exact terms that examiners absolutely love to see. This is all about getting you the most marks in the shortest amount of time. So let's do this. First things first, you've got to speak the language. Honestly, learning these key definitions is probably one of the easiest ways to pick up guaranteed marks on your paper. So let's lock them in.
So, what even is ecology? At its heart, it's all about relationships. It's the study of how all the living things interact with each other and, just as importantly, with all the non-living stuff around them. It's the science of how nature fits together. Okay, let's zoom in a little. A population, that's just a group of the same species all living in the same area. So think of all the rabbits in a field or all the daffodils in a park. That group is a population. It's that simple. Now, what happens if you take all the different populations in that field? You've got your rabbits, the grass they eat, the foxes that hunt them, the insects in the soil. You put them all together, and bam, you've got a community. It's all the living things interacting in one spot. And where does this community live? In a habitat. This is the easiest one for sure. A habitat is just an organism's address. It's its home. For that rabbit, the habitat is the field. For a fish, it's the pond. And finally, the big one, the ecosystem. This is where we put it all together. It's the entire living community, all the plants and animals, plus all the non-living things, what we call the abiotic environment. We're talking about the sunlight, the water, the soil, the climate, the whole shebang. Okay, so now we know what an ecosystem is, but what actually shapes it? What makes a desert different from a rainforest? Well, it all comes down to two kinds of factors, and for your exam, you absolutely have to know the difference between them. And these two groups are abiotic and biotic. A really easy way to remember this is that bio means life. So abiotic means non-living, and biotic means living. Examiners love asking for examples of these, so let's make it super clear. On the abiotic side, you've got the non-living things that have a huge impact, like how much light is available, the temperature, or how much water there is. Then you have the biotic factors. These are all about the interactions between living things, things like competition for food, predators hunting prey, or the spread of disease. Right, let's switch gears a bit. Enough with the theory, let's get practical. A massive part of the ecology paper is about the skills scientists actually use in the field. So how do you measure life in a habitat? I mean, think about it. You can't possibly count every single daisy in a giant field, can you? It's just impossible. So how do scientists get a reliable estimate without spending years on their hands and knees? Well, they use a really smart technique called sampling. And the method you really need to know is random quadrat sampling. Now, the process is key. Step 1, you have to place your quadrat randomly. This is crucial to avoid being biased. Step 2, count the organisms you're interested in inside that square. Step 3, repeat, repeat, repeat. You have to do this many times to get a reliable result. And finally, step 4, calculate the average or the mean. Remember those two magic words for your exam: random and repeat. Now, here's a little exam tip that will make you look like you really know your stuff. What if a plant is touching the edge of the quadrat? Do you count it or not? The answer is to use an edge rule. For example, decide you'll count anything touching the top and right sides, but ignore anything touching the bottom and left. The most important thing is that you're consistent every single time. Okay, and once you've got your average number of organisms per quadrat, you need this formula. Seriously, screenshot this, write it down, burn it into your brain. You take your mean, and then you scale it up by multiplying it by how many quadrats would fit into the whole area. This is how you go from a small sample to a big, powerful estimate. So we know how to count a single species, but how do we get a sense of the health of the entire ecosystem? Well, for that, we need to talk about a huge concept, and that is biodiversity. Now, biodiversity isn't just about how many different types of species there are. That's called species richness. It's also about how many individuals of each species there are. That part's called evenness. So a really healthy ecosystem doesn't just have lots of different species. It has a good balance in the numbers of each of those species, too. Of course, sometimes counting every single organism is just too slow. So ecologists can use a quicker, more descriptive method called the ACFOR scale. It's a way to estimate abundance just by looking. Is the species abundant, common, frequent, occasional, or just plain rare? And here's the kind of evaluation point that gets you top marks. You need to know the trade-off. The ACFR scale is fast, yeah, but it's subjective. What I call common, you might call frequent. Counting individuals, on the other hand, is much slower, but it gives you objective, quantitative data, hard numbers you can actually do math with.
So, we've talked about what ecology is and how we measure it. But now for the biggest question of all. Why? Why does any of this actually matter in the real world?
It matters because biodiversity provides us with things we literally cannot live without. We're talking about essential services. We rely on insects to pollinate our crops, on diverse ecosystems for our food and new medicines. We rely on forests and wetlands to protect us from floods and to suck carbon out of the atmosphere.
And that leads us to the final thought. We know that human activity is causing a massive drop in biodiversity around the world. So looking at that list of services, pollinators, food, medicine, this isn't just a question for your exam anymore. It's a real question about our future. Which one of those would you be okay with losing? Something to think about. Okay, that's it. Good luck with your revision.